Hey everybody, and welcome to a tier list video where I'm going to rank each song in Terraria's soundtrack on the tier list. This is something I've seen nobody ever do, so hey, why don't I try it? I listen to video game music all the time. It's basically the only music I ever listen to be honest. And because of that, I have a very complicated opinion on Terraria's soundtrack, and I wanted some way to express it, to say it on YouTube, and this is the best way that I thought of. So we're going to go through each track in the order of the soundtrack from volumes 1 through 4, and I'm going to give my thoughts on each one, how I think they fit in the game, and how, I don't know, just how good they are. I really like Terraria's soundtrack overall. Many of the tracks appeared in my favorite video game music of all time playlists. Or playlist, I don't have multiple. But I do think it could be better. There is some missed potential, and I'm gonna go over that missed potential, what I think that missed potential is, throughout this video. So, before we get started, a few things to note. Number one, this is all my opinion. I'm not saying anything definitive here, like, oh, this is the best. No, it's not. Number two, we are not including Terraria Otherworld's soundtrack, because that would cause a really complicated in-game versions versus soundtrack versions. Personally, I prefer the soundtrack versions greatly. The in-game versions are just okay. Thirdly, the actual rankings of the songs is going to be based on the song itself and nothing really more. I will talk about how I think it fits in-game, how I think it plays in-game, but how it plays in-game, aside from its repetitiveness from hearing it over and over again, will not factor into the ranking. The repetitiveness will, to be clear. There was probably something else that I wanted to say, but I don't remember it, so let's just get started. Starting off with the classic Overworld Day. So this song is like, I'm just gonna put it in B as a default. This song is like the Sweden equivalent of Terraria. It is the most iconic piece in the game, in my opinion. Like, whenever I think of the image of the default Terraria character swinging a copper axe at a bunch of slimes in a forest with like a workbench nearby, and maybe the guide is there as well shooting his bow, this is what I hear playing in my head when I think of that. With that said, it surprises me from how short it is. The loops are only 1 minute long, and usually pieces that are iconic in a game like the Super Mario Bros. Theme are typically a lot longer than that, so that's a little weird. And also, it has a problem that I think stretches out to a lot of the rest of the soundtrack. The songs don't loop that well. They don't loop very cleanly. What I mean by that is, they don't really like flow into the loops. They kind of just slow down to a stop and then very obviously restart. And that's fine with longer tracks, but with like 1 minute tracks, not so great. With that being said, Overworld Day in the current version of the game, I think it's actually going to stay in B, because this is good. It's a good piece, it's an iconic piece, and that's basically all I have to say about it. However, I will say that in older versions of the game, or so I hear, this is the only theme that ever played on the surface. The other biome themes like desert didn't exist. There was no alternate day. As long as it was daytime and you were on the surface, this is the theme you were hearing over and over and over again. That would have probably taken it down to like D. That would have driven me nuts. Fortunately, the current version of the game is not like that, and you actually don't even hear it that much anymore. So the few times it does play, it's a good one. Overworld Day sits firmly in B tier. Next up is Eerie, the theme for blood moons, or meteorites. The reason why it's called Eerie and it's not called Blood Moon Meteorite is because this actually used to play in a lot more areas. The Corruption, the Dungeon, the Underworld, as well as Blood Moons and Meteorites. But since then, those have all gotten their own themes, and we are left with Eerie. So I think this one is also B tier. I don't know if it'll go above Overworld Day or below. I'm gonna keep it below for now. Maybe I can reorganize the tier list as we go, because it's good. It's good, it's cool, it's creepy. I like the silent beginning, although I do have some problems with how it plays in-game. That being, why does it have such a low priority? In both the cases where it plays, biome themes can play over the Blood Moon theme, which makes no sense. The Blood Moon is a surface-wide event that affects all biomes, so why does it not just play across the whole surface? And secondly, meteorites can be taken over by the evil biome. So if the meteorite lands in an evil biome, you don't hear the music. And then Like, it takes away... There's a really cool feeling when you come across this meteorite and the music switches to Eerie, and it's Eerie. As if the song name. Yeah. That feeling gets completely removed when the meteorite lands in an evil biome. And I don't know about you, but it's landed in an evil biome for me like half the freaking time. Across all my playthroughs. But otherwise, the song itself is great. I do think it has a lackluster ending, and it has the same kind of looping problem as Overworld Day. It's not as bad though, so I still regard Overworld Day higher overall just because it's more iconic, but Eerie's pretty good. It's B tier. Overworld Night. Now, when I first heard this, I was actually quite surprised that this was the nighttime theme. It didn't really sound like a nighttime theme to me, but over time, it's grown on me, and I like it a lot now, especially with the introduction of Town Night and Town Day and Night, where these aren't the only ones playing. This one fits a lot for the areas where it plays now, because now, with Town Night introduced, Overworld Night will play wherever mobs can spawn. And that fits well. Like, it's peaceful but ominous at the same time. Peaceful to go with the nighttime, and cool nighttimes being peaceful, and ominous because the monsters. It's great. I don't know where I'd place it. I think maybe above Eerie. I think maybe in between these two. The first 3 tracks you hear at the start of the old versions of the game are all together. Yeah, it's not too amazing. I don't think it's good enough for A tier, but it's there. It is a little short, and the melody could have been developed a little more, but overall, it's not bad. I'm just gonna put it in B. And it does work very well for, like, starting out on your first night in a Terraria world, because this will likely play for your first night since you probably don't have 3 NPCs by the time the sun goes down. You'll probably have at least 2. And this fits very well, so yeah, good track. Next is Old Title Screen, pre 1.4. Now, this one's interesting. I think this one might also be B, but I'm gonna put it at the bottom of B because I used to really like it. I probably would have considered this A tier, like if we were talking me back at the start of my Terraria playthrough, where I did actually play this theme instead when I had to edit the music. I played this theme instead of the new one, because I found the new one not as good. However, my opinion has completely flipped, actually. The old title screen for every version before 1.4 is cool, but the loops are 45 seconds long. And you're gonna spend a while creating a character when you start the game up. So you could imagine how repetitive this gets. Because of that, I might put it in C. I find the other menu themes, including a special one we'll be getting to later, a lot better than this one, I have to say. I used to really like it, and I do like its build-up and its adventure. Like, I really like it overall, but it's way, way too short. That's my biggest problem with it, and that I think gets its spot in C tier. It's gonna go at the top of C tier. Next, Underground, right here. This one is really good. I think I'm gonna put this A. It's like Overworld Day in that it's not that long. It's like 1:20 seconds. I mean, that's longer than Overworld Day, but it's also like Overworld Day in that it has an alternate version, alternate Underground. So you're not hearing it all the time, but I wouldn't mind hearing this all the time, to be honest. Before, in the versions before alternate Underground was added, I wouldn't mind hearing this all the time. It's very catchy. It's charming in a weird way. I like it. It fits the caves well. I mean, it fits the caves surprisingly well. For as, like, horrifying as the caves in Minecraft are, you switch over to Terraria and it's a whole different vibe, but I guess that's the point. Terraria is a whole different game. Sort of. If I have any complaints with it, its ending is a little abrupt. Like, it just goes do-do-do-do-do-do-do, and then stops right there. I think a little more could have been done, but how can I complain that much? I still like Underground a lot, so in A it goes. Next is Boss 1. I think this is also A. Yeah, sure. I think this is my favorite boss theme in the game. I think it's the best. I don't think any others come close. Or, they do come close. Some of them do come close, but this is the best one. It's most, like, consistent throughout the whole thing. The other boss themes have I don't have an official name for it, but a lot of tracks in this soundtrack start off really good and then get kind of worse as it goes, and then it loops again and starts off really good again. That goes for a lot. There's a big example we're going to be getting to soon. But Boss 1 manages to avoid this, unlike the other boss themes. And because of that, it gets the best. It gets the highest rating. It's also just a really fun and energetic track, fitting of, like, fighting Eye of Cthulhu. Like, this is definitely Eye of Cthulhu's theme. If there's some mod that adds in a special theme for all the other bosses, Eye of Cthulhu better keep this theme, because even though it does play for Skeletron Prime, and Eater of Worlds as well. And it also used to play for Duke Fishron, funnily enough, but now it doesn't. If there's any negatives, I can say, this goes kind of with every other boss theme and somewhat every event theme in the rest of the game. I think it could use a little more punch to it. I think it's a little soft in spots, like you're fighting a boss, and bosses are typically harder. I think it could use a little more kick, punch. I hope you know what I mean, but... Next is Jungle Day, which I forgot to write Jungle Day here, even though I have Jungle Night. Whoops. Well, whatever. Jungle Day. It's either A or top of B. I think I'm gonna... Nope, sorry. I think I'm gonna go with A, because I really like this theme. When I first heard Terraria Soundtrack, this was actually my favorite track out of all the ones that I bothered to hear, like Overworld Day and I think Underground as well. Yeah, this one's really good. It's catchy, it stands out, it's got nice progression, and its loops are fairly long, so it's not that repetitive. And it's especially not as repetitive now that Jungle Night and Underground Jungle exist. And yeah, I think along with, like, it stands out among some of the other surface biomes for, like, not having any of the 8-bit sounds in it. I mean, the 8-bit sounds are kind of important for this game, but, like, all the other surface themes have it, but this one doesn't. It stands out in that way. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's a nice, catchy theme. The end. Moving on. Next is Corruption. This is what I was talking about, with tracks that start off really good and then kind of get worse as they go. Corruption is the biggest offender of this, because the start of this song is so good, but then the second half of each loop, not as good. I don't really know where to put it. I think I'll put it bottom of B, because that start is really, really good. But there's a moment when the song momentarily stops and then transitions, and then the second half is just a bunch of random noises that eventually abruptly stops, and then the song restarts, and it's just weird. I would have loved to see an expansion, an extension of the first part, of the melody in the first part, because the melody in the first part is so good, and it's kind of a waste. To top it all off, the loops aren't that long, which means that if you're, like, farming out rotten chunks for the archaeologists, that you get to listen to this over and over, and it's not, and it's just very repetitive. It gets pretty repetitive. Oh, the soundtrack version also has that weird ghostly sound at the start of the second one. I don't know what's up with that, but... Next, Underground Corruption, which is right here. This is good. I think it's up there with Underground. Go on, Jungle this low. Yeah, I think I'm gonna keep Jungle that low. It's not really as iconic to me as Underground is. And Underground Corruption? I don't think it's as good as the original, but I really like how it's basically the original Underground theme, but it's corrupted, especially that part towards the beginning where it plays the Surface Corruption's melody. That's really cool. I think the biggest improvement over Surface Corruption is, it's much longer. It's actually 2 minutes, 22 seconds per loop, which is honestly one of the longest tracks in the game. There's a part towards the middle where it kind of goes crazy and the corruption comes out in full force, and then it abruptly switches back to the regular Underground theme like nothing happened. I love that. Since it's longer, I think I might rate it over the original Underground. Yeah, let's go with that. This is what Surface Corruption should have been, a long track that continuously develops as you go. But instead it's just what it is, which is not great. Alright, up next. The Hallow. Where's my Hallow? Here's my Hallow. Now, I do like Hallow, but I think I'm gonna put it above Corruption. And in fact, I might even put Corruption in C, just to make this look a little more even. Yeah, we're gonna put Corruption in C, sorry, but the Hallow sounds very nice. It's a very pleasant track, and there's that part where it goes wow 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 wow. That's really nice. Not as nice as the way I made it sound, but still really good. However, it's just like Overworld Day, it is 1 minute long. Which means, if you're staying in the Hallow for long periods of time, you get to listen to a 1 minute long track on loop forever. It gets very repetitive, which is why it earns its spot down in B. Now, surprisingly enough, it kind of has the same music priority as Overworld Day, meaning stuff like the rain theme and the windy day play over it, which means you actually don't hear it that much. Still, though, I think it deserves its spot, and I think Overworld Day is more iconic. I think all these themes just overall better. I'm gonna put Hallow there. It had potential, I just think it should have been a lot longer than it actually was. Now, since we got Underground Corruption before, you'd expect to get Underground Hallow now, but no, it's actually Boss 2 for some reason. I don't understand why. But yeah, here we go, Boss 2. This one, just like with regular Corruption, starts off really, really good. Like the freaking high-octane, fast-paced, run-for-your-freaking-life music. It really fits the Wall of Flesh fight and the twins very, very well, which is where this boss theme plays. But then you get to the second half, and the pace slows down for no reason. And I couldn't tell you why. And to be honest, it kind of ruins the whole track. Its ending is very lackluster. However, I think that the first part of it puts enough of a punch that I may want to actually rank it in B above Hallow. I think that's a good spot for it. This, again, like, I think this theme should have just continued with the fast pace the whole time. It would have fit those fights perfectly. Why does it have to slow down halfway through? I don't understand. It's also not very long, but since you never really fight these bosses that long, I guess, except for the twins on Master, or Wall of Flesh for the Worthy even, but I don't mind boss themes being that short, because this one, the boss themes usually loop very well, unlike most of the regular biome themes, so yeah, Boss 2 was alright. It could have been way better, though. Here's Underground Hallow. It was hiding from us. This is actually really, really good. I think I'm gonna put it in A. This is one of my favorite tracks. Might want to fiddle with this order later. I think I kind of like Underground Corruption's subtlety a little more than Underground Hallow, but especially since it's much longer. But Underground Hallow is very, very nice. And significantly better than the Surface version, I have to say. It's another combination between the regular Underground plus Hallow. And this one is so good. It's like, it's very loud, but I mean, that's kind of how the Hallow is. It's very, like, happy and in your face. And so, it works very well. And there's that part towards the end of each loop that goes into kind of a remix of some of the parts of regular Underground, and it's quite catchy. So, and it's not very repetitive either, so good job. It's got a lot of evolution throughout, it just sounds nice. Finally, we have, where is it? Here it is, Boss 3. The boss theme for the Brain of Cthulhu and the Destroyer. I like this one. I used to think it was another one of those tracks that kind of had a really good first part, but then didn't. But then the second half was just okay. But honestly, I kind of like the second half now. It's not that bad. I think I'll put it here. I like it more than Boss 2. Even though I may not like the Brain of Cthulhu that much as a fight, I think its theme is really, really good. So the first part though is so freaking good, and the second part is only a little worse. Like I think it gets a firm spot in B tier. I might rejigger some of these positions later, but we'll see. That's my my plan for right now. And also, the in-game version of the track actually loops very well, so that's not even an issue. We're finally done with Volume 1, and Volume 2 begins with Ocean Day. I remember to put the day on this, but not Jungle. I'm very sorry. Ocean Day is a track I used to really like, and I still do really like. You know what? Sorry. Alright. However, I think I'm gonna put it B, because I really do like it, but over time, there's a lot of stuff in the middle of it, in the middle of each loop, that just isn't as good as the starting melody. And I don't think the ending is that good either. Like, the starting melody is, again, like, the best part. All the sounds of, like, what's supposed to be the wind and the waves going back and forth, along with the main melody, is really nice. And then it just goes away for the rest of it. It's not horrible. In fact, it's still quite nice throughout it, but I think... I don't know. Just the middle part isn't really as good. I think that's a good spot for it. Ocean Day goes there. Sure, yeah. We'll go with that before I get too indecisive. Now, what's the first thing you think of when you think of oceans? What's the next thing you think of, I mean? What's the next track you expect? It's Solar Eclipse. Did you expect that? Yeah, the ordering is so weird. I think that's a good spot. Alright, Solar Eclipse is one of these themes that just isn't really that good throughout. I mean, it starts off great, but after a while it just kind of comes alright. I think it's gonna go in C. Yeah, I think below the title screen. I think I like the title screen more. Doesn't help. It's also not helped by the fact that this is my least favorite event in the game. So, of course, that does not affect the ranking in any way, but still. That's what I choose. It's going in C, at the bottom of C where we have it right now. Yeah, like everything from 56 seconds onwards is just a bunch of weird random noises that seem to have forgotten what the original theme was supposed to be. So, that is why I give it C. Next is Rain. Why wasn't Rain before the solar eclipse? Rain! I like Rain a lot. I think I might put it top of B. And then again, it's not that repetitive. It's either top of B or bottom of A. And I think I'm gonna go with bottom of A. I think I like all these tracks more, but yeah, Rain is really good. It's pleasant. It goes well with the rain sound effects in game, and it's got some parts that just plain sound nice. And I can't say it in any different way. It's a nice track. I actually kind of prefer to call these rainy days since we now have the windy day event in 1.4. But that's not the actual... That's not really the name of them anymore since this plays day and night. That is one thing. About the in-game version. At nighttime, even if it's nighttime while raining, this still plays. I don't think it should, because not only does that make it really hard to tell if it's night, but also most of the rain-exclusive stuff is during the day. At least I think. The flying fish and the umbrella slimes during the day. The raincoat zombies are at night, but still. I feel like most of the rain-exclusive stuff is during the day, and in fact, the Terraria Otherworld soundtrack does play the night theme instead, even if it's raining, so... Yeah, I think the night theme should have played instead of rain, and rain should have been saved for the day, especially because morning rain exists, so... Yeah, that would have been really good. But, no matter. Moving on. Alternate Day. This is one I was very mixed on for a while, but now I like it a lot. I think I'm gonna put it top of B, not really bottom of A. It's not an amazing track, but it goes right along with Overworld Day, but I do like it a little more overall. Because it is longer. It is 1:40 per loop instead of 1 minute. And it's got, like, it keeps going, and I think it was clearly composed to be, like, ambience, Spyro-esque catchy ambience that you hear as you're playing and moving around the forest and stuff, and it works very well. One thing, I wish there was something in the game that made Overworld Day play as the first track when you loaded to every new playthrough, but that's just me, because Alternate Day doesn't have the same kind of, like, starting out vibe as Overworld Day does. It's more like a continuing or getting there vibe. And having this play from the start isn't as good. I think there should be something that says Overworld Day plays for the first time every single time. But that's just me. So, yeah, Alternate Day, pretty good. Thumbs up. Next is Space Knight. Now, this is another one of those tracks that has a really good first half, really good second half, but as much as in my playthrough I said how much it sucked, I don't think it sucks. The mediocre second half is actually, like, more like a mediocre last quarter. so I think it's gonna get Space Knight. Do I like it more than Rain? Probably not, since Rain is more consistently good throughout. The rest of these are more consistently good throughout. This one has the lackluster ending, but Space Knight is so good. Seriously, like, the first half is really, really good. And it's also not that repetitive, since not only does it have a daytime version in 1.4, but you're not really in space that often. You only go up there to farm wyverns or to investigate floating islands. That's like 2 points in the entire in an entire playthrough. So you don't hear it much, but when you do, it's nice. So yeah. To be honest, the last quarter isn't even that bad. It's just not as good as the rest of it. Next up is Boss 4. This is the theme for Golem and the Lunatic Cultist. Now, this one, I'm actually having a hard time deciding where I should put it, because I don't know where I should put it. It's good. The first part is really good. Second part's alright, but it's not that big a downgrade. In fact, I think it actually continues to be pretty good overall. But do I like it more than Boss 2? I think I'm gonna put it there. I think I like it a little more than Boss 2. Now, a lot of people seem to think that they really want Lunatic Cultist to have his own theme, but I kind of disagree. I mean, sure, like, each boss having their own theme would be nice. It would give strong character to each one, but Golem is a boss that you just fight, and then he's dead in 3 seconds. So why not give this theme a boss that is better fit to letting you actually hear it for longer than 2 seconds? I'm sure Golem gets harder on harder difficulties. It's just on Master, at least. I fought him on Expert. He wasn't that much harder, but on Master or For the Worthy, he might be harder. You never know. But I think this theme works really, really well for Lunatic Cultist, regardless. Like, I don't think Lunatic Cultist needs his own theme. This is perfect for him. So, overall, though, I don't think it's as, like, imposing sounding as Boss 3, and I don't think it's as consistently good as Boss 1, so, but I like it more than Boss 2 overall. It does have a bit of a lackluster ending, but moving on. Glowing Mushroom Biome. This... Meh. It's catchy at the start, but that's about it. I think I would have preferred a more peaceful sounding theme in Glowing Mushrooms, kind of like what Terraria Otherworld does with its Glowing Mushroom theme. I don't think Terraria Otherworld's theme is fantastic, but it's kind of a cool, like, constant atmospheric beat. This one, it's catchy, but I'm not sure if it's Glowing Mushroom Biomes that well. And then it has the lackluster second half, which just... There's, like, no melody at the end at all. It just goes into random percussion sounds and then back to the beginning. Yeah, it's fine. C tier is, like, fine tier, and so I think I'm gonna put it in fine. It's fine. D is a little forgettable, and then F is... F isn't really like I hate this. It's more like... This one just isn't as good as the rest of the soundtrack. But yeah, it's nowhere near bad enough for D or F, but yeah, it's fine. Next is Crimson. Crimson is a good one. I don't think I'll rate it above Jungle, but it'll go right there. This one is really good. This is what Corruption wishes it could be, because this one is good all throughout. It is 2 minutes and 7 seconds per loop, so not that short, and it continuously evolves its melody and its percussion, and also I just really like how he somehow managed to put in the blood and gore straight into the track, and I don't even know how that's possible, but the track feels bloody and gory. What an insightful opinion, man. I'm doing a real good job at giving my opinions on this. But yeah, seriously, this track is just awesome. Wouldn't be too out of place in, like, one of the modern Doom games. And to be honest, it would be one of my favorite tracks in those Doom games, because the rest of the modern Doom games soundtrack, aside from BFG Division, is just okay in my opinion. That's just me though. Crimson, I do prefer Corruption to Crimson as an evil biome, not as a music, obviously I prefer Crimson. But if Crimson has something going for it over Corruption, it's got a much better theme. Oh, and I actually forgot to mention this with Underground Corruption, but there is one annoyance I have with Underground Corruption. In pre-hard mode, whenever you go into one of the chasms, there's like a line in between. The chasms are positioned perfectly so that the top half of the chasm plays surface corruption, bottom half plays underground corruption, and when you travel between the layers, they keep switching back and forth, and it is so annoying. But again, I can't let that ruin underground corruption. If I did, it would be like here. But actually, no, it would be in B, since in hard mode you hear it all the time when you're in the underground corruption that appears. I forgot to mention that, so I mentioned it now. Moving on. Crimson Good. Moving on. The Lihzahrd Temple. This is one that kind of grew on me. It's a very atmospheric track, but it's a good atmospheric track. And it grew on me a lot. I think it's good for what it is. I think I might... Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna put it there. I do like it better than those three. This one's good. It's... like, I remember listening to this back in the day, hearing a bit of it and thinking, it's okay. But then when I was listening to it in-game for the playthrough, there were some parts that really stuck out. Like, some of the parts later on, especially later on in the track, are pretty freaking good. And again, this is another example of, like, catchy ambience, where, just like the Spyro games, it's ambient and it's also pretty catchy. I just noticed, like, every single playing music box sprite has this little, I guess that's supposed to be the disc, the record in it. Some have a spike. You play the music off of a spike. Is that what iPods were like back in whatever century Terraria takes place in? Although, Terraria probably takes place in modern day now that I think about it. You can craft a cell phone in the game, so I don't know. Although, to be honest, I cannot hear this theme and not think of the lizard sounds. They're like cat sounds. Alright, moving on. Snow! Okay, I really like the first part, but the second part is just lackluster enough that I think I'm gonna put it in C. And also, I'm wondering if I should move Boss 2 down to C. Yeah, let's do that. The Boss 2 gets top of C. But yeah, like, the first part of the snow is really good. And then there's a little bit of okay stuff after it, and then the rest, it's a bunch of, like, random snow noises, and then it loops. It's... an extension to the original melody, to the, starting melody for the rest of the track would have been really great, I think, for this, and would have elevated it really high. It would have made it so good, but as it is now, I don't know. Also wondering if do I like it more than Boss 2? Well, Boss 2 has, like, the fun pace at the start of the game. It fits, but then again, Snow Biome fits the Snow Biome. Yeah, sure. I don't know why the hit detection for, like, I want to put this here is so weird. Snow is okay. Next is Plantera. If this video gets watched, I can't wait to see the comments about this one, because a lot of people seem to really, really like Plantera. Like, some people have claimed it's the best plant boss in any game ever made, and its music is awesome. I disagree. Personally, I mean, the boss is alright. I don't think it's that interesting, but it's alright. And it sucks that you not only have to find a bulb, you have to dig out a huge space in the jungle, which is when the spawning system is at its absolute worst. And then its theme is just... no. I think I'm gonna put it there. I'm sorry, but... like, it has such a good idea. Like, having a plant have, like, a heavy metal theme, that's awesome. But... or, like, a rock metal... What do you freaking call this type of music? I don't know. It's based on a band named Plantera, which is where Plantera gets her name. But like, it only really captures that for the first part. And then afterwards, it abandons it completely to me, and it's not nearly as interesting. I think that the Terraria Otherworld equivalent of this theme does it much better, which I don't know which exact track the Terraria Otherworld theme is, but switch to the Otherworld soundtrack in-game, fight Plantera, you'll hear what I mean. You'll hear the track I mean. That one is much better, much more fitting, as this is. Yeah. I may even put it D. I mean, I don't think it's that good. I'm sorry, but I just don't think it's that good. Do I want it in D? I'll move it in C and then think about it later. Alright. Now, I have to really wonder why Plantera and the dungeon are so interconnected in-game. What does Plantera have to do with the dungeon? There's some connection between the jungle and the dungeon. That just is never explained, but that was my way of a fancy transition over to the dungeons theme, which is pretty good. Is it A-tier material? I don't know, but I think it's more like top of B material. I don't know, it fits well. The dungeon is my favorite area in the game, and because of all the mystery surrounding it, like how you find it, there's this old guy walking around outside that says, "Fight, defeat my master at nighttime. Come back at night, or come back when you're strong," or whatever. And then and this freaking huge skull with a couple arms bursts out of him when you click curse. And then you kill it, and now you can go into this dungeon where if you didn't do that before, a giant skull would kill you. There's so much mystery around it, and then you go in, and it's this huge, like, complex down there with, like, spikes and ball spikes and a million skeletons. And it's one of the few places where the spawning system has a really good place. And to be honest, I don't really care about the spawning system anymore. I think it's fine. But, like, the spawning system works well for the dungeon, and there's all that really good loot down there as well. The dungeon's so fun, and this theme really works well. Like, I could only imagine not knowing about the dungeon going in, and actually, like, entering it myself, being greeted with this theme as we go through this huge, massive catacomb. It's cool. I don't think it's really as good as any of these to be on the same tier, but it's good. B tier is good. A tier is really good. S tier is some of my favorite tracks in the game, which we haven't gotten to yet. So yeah, dungeon is a thumbs up. That is the end of Volume 2. There is one more track called Lunar Boss, but it appears again in the soundtrack list later on, under a different name, so we're going to skip it, and move on to Alternate Underground. I think... Okay. Maybe... there is a good spot for it. I think it is A tier, because it's cool. It makes for a cool atmosphere. It makes for a pretty cool atmosphere, and especially as you like head deeper and deeper into cave, and you see all kinds of lava and moss appear around you. The progression of depth as you go down into the caves is so cool, by the way. It's one of my favorite things about the game. One of my many favorite things about the game. Yeah, the original Underground theme's melody might be really good, but I think this one has a better atmosphere, and to be honest, I think it would be cool if this one played more often as you went deeper, and this one played more often when you were in the top layers of the caves, where it's just like, it's like the dirt walls and just some slimes. The underground layer, as the game calls it, not the cavern layer. If this played more often in the cavern layer and this played more often in the underground, that would be cool, but that's not how it works. Yeah, that's all I have to say about it. Next, Underground Crimson. This one, man. This one. Okay, you know what? I think I'm gonna move Underground Corruption. We're gonna put it there. Because Underground Crimson... I have a hard time deciding between Underground Crimson and Underground Hollow. Underground Crimson is quite long, but it is so awesome. I think I will keep it there, yeah. Underground Crimson is so awesome. Like, the Surface Crimson theme was already kind of rockin', for lack of a better term, but this one is so cool. It's like it really feels like you're descending into this massive beast. The matchup with the merge between regular Underground and Surface Crimson is a little more subtle, but it is really freaking good. No, I'm not going to put it above Boss 1. Boss 1 is probably going to remain there, to be honest. It's one of my personal favorite tracks. But yeah, like the middle part where it starts playing the Underground themes, and then you hear, with Underground Corruption, it's like, oh, this is weird, this isn't normal, but with Crimson, it's like, you are in a massive beast. I don't know. It's freaking cool. There. I made a censored version of what I just said, in hopes that this video will attract more views as a result. Yeah, it's also very surprisingly long, so very cool. The ending is alright, but the ending is also very cool. I've got very little bad to say about it. Next up is Goblin Army or Goblin Invasion. I chose Goblin Invasion. think it's gonna go there. There is one part in particular that I like. The part where it goes, I like that part a lot. I like the build up to it a lot, but the rest of it, it's fine. I do think I prefer Corruption, Hallow, and Mushrooms, Boss 2 and Snow to Goblin Invasion, so I think that's a good spot for it. Goblin Invasion fits quite well. It does sound very Goblin-y, if that makes sense. It should make sense because you're fighting goblins, and it's the theme for fighting goblins, so of course it'll sound somewhat goblin-y. Somewhat goblin-y. And as a theme for the first, like, invasion event of the game, of the group, like, Pirate Invasion, Martian Madness, and whatever, it's a good introduction. Yeah, I think it's good. Maybe not good, but fine. It's fine. C is fine tier. Might rename some of these, I don't know. No, I think I'll keep them the letters. Next is Underworld. This is another one of those pieces that starts off really good and then just gets kind of worse. As a result, I think I'm going to put it in C. I think I'm going to put most of those kinds of themes that start off good and then the second half isn't as good in C. And in fact, I might move Ocean Day down a bit. Yeah, we'll put it bottom of B. It's good, but it does have some lackluster parts. Underworld's okay. The start is the best part, as usual, and then the rest of it is just some random, seemingly random melodies and stuff thrown together. There's also a lot of points in the song where it, like, takes a break and takes away the melody a bit, and I guess the Underworld isn't that dangerous of a place. You can, like, go there from the start of the game and have a decent time if you know how to use hooks and build properly and know to avoid lava, but still, for how, like, imposing this area can be, the song sure takes a couple breaks and makes it feel less imposing. That's just what I feel from it, though. Although, I must say, the beginning is a really strong beginning for, like, coming down into the Underworld and seeing this massive expanse of lava and, like, the game's equivalent of the Nether, basically. The beginning of this track is really good for that, but yeah, I think I prefer Snow to it overall. And yeah, Boss 2 could probably stay where it is. Next up, Pirate Invasion. I'm gonna put in D. I think the first, like, 15-20 seconds where it goes the stuff, that's the best part of it. Because it fits with pirates, it sounds like a pirate theme, and it's kind of like, it sounds kind of like an invasion theme. The rest of it is just, it really sucks in comparison. There's no safer way to put it. It's just nowhere near as good. And it feels like in the last third of the song, it completely abandons the pirate or the invasion. It completely abandons both, and it just does its own thing, and it... Like, while I'm fighting the event, I hear it get to the bad part, and I'm like, what is this? I'm in the middle of an intense event. Can I get a song that sounds like I'm in the middle of an intense event, please? Because the Pirate Invasion is pretty tough, especially if you get at the beginning of hard mode, where... if you get it at the beginning of hard mode, it is literally unfair. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just not... It needed a lot more punch. It needed an expansion of the beginning part of it. As it is now, it's just really... It's just not that good. I'm sorry to say. Next, Pumpkin Moon. I like this one. I think it's B. I'm gonna put it there, I think. Maybe above Overworld Night? Maybe? I don't know. Pumpkin Moon fits the Halloween spirit very well, and also kind of fits, because I feel like when I'm playing the event, it's a little more slower paced than its counterpart, Frost Moon, which we will be getting to very soon. I believe it's actually the next track, and, you know, it fits very well. It sounds like a Halloween-ish theme, and it's pretty slow paced, just like the event itself. It's very spooky. I like it. That's about it. I mean, like, it's very easy to picture the Pumpkin flying around and turning his head. Pumpkin is a really cool boss design, I have to say. The last part is a little alright, but it does loop very well. It's a decent length as well. It doesn't get too repetitive, so yeah, good theme. feel like I repeat myself a lot. Next is Frost Moon. I'm gonna put this in A. I don't know where. Actually, maybe more like top of B. This theme is pretty short. It's 1 minute and 8 seconds, as I'm looking at it right now, but it gets the excuse of being so freaking awesome, and the event being so fun that I actually don't mind. It's not that repetitive at all, even. Like, I play the entire event from start to finish of the night, and it never gets repetitive. And that's probably because it's just so freaking awesome. This is unironically the best Christmas-themed song I have ever heard. Like, I'm not joking. Every other Christmas song ever in existence? Nah. Freaking D tier. This theme, though? This theme is friggin' great. And the event is a lot, like, more intense and faster paced. It's harder overall, because it's got, like, the Santa tank, and the Ice Queen is a little bit more complicated attacks to avoid than the Pumpkin. Yeah, it's really good. And I think I might move Pumpkin Moon up over Overworld Night. Overworld Night can get a little repetitive sometimes, so Pumpkin Moon doesn't really, so. The only thing I'd say about Frost Moon is that the middle part is just okay, but the first part and the last part are all really good. Like, the last melody where it goes... So, it's great. And it encapsulates the fun of Terraria plus the fun of this event very, very well. So, 2 thumbs ups from me. Next is Martian Madness. I like it quite a bit, although I think too much of it is the mediocre stuff to make it to B tier. I do like it. In fact, I think I'm gonna put it bottom of B tier, and now editing me is gonna have to figure out how to resize the window that B tier has more than a row of stuff in it. Yeah, it's gonna go in bottom B, because I want to make it clear that I like it. It's not bad. Okay, I'm so sorry, guys, but I kind of want to put more stuff in here. I'm moving Plantera down here, and I'm so sorry, but it has to be done. The first part is good, but the first part of Lunar Invasion is also good, so... There's only really, like, one song that's gonna go into F tier, and I don't really want this to be too imbalanced, so... Yeah, anyway, Martian Madness fits the event very well. It certainly sounds like you're being invaded by Martians, and the intensity, the fast pace of it, it works well. And it's not that repetitive either, especially because, it's pretty lengthy, 1 minute 40 seconds. That's good. The last part just isn't really as, like, crazy sounding as the first part, but that's okay. That's okay. Next. Lunar Invasion, or Lunar Towers, or Celestial Pillars, or whatever the hell you want to call it. I don't know what the official name of this event is still. Lunar Invasion is good. It's probably the best part of the event. I wouldn't say A. There. I think that's a good spot for it. This is probably the best part of the event, as well as the visuals, but the rest of the event is like, it's the Lunar Invasion. If you played, you know what the Lunar Invasion is like. But yes, part of me kind of feels like each pillar could have had its own variation of the theme. I think that would have been cool, but especially since this theme doesn't play across the whole surface, it plays next to the pillars, which is fine because the pillars, it probably should work that way, so you're not hearing this theme constantly, because this would get repetitive if you heard it too long. But since you only hear it in those short bursts, it's good. The last part, again, little bit of a lackluster ending, but it's not bad, and the first part is really, really freaking good. So, overall, good job. Next, Moonlord. Now, this guy has so much, this theme has so much going for it, but it just doesn't capitalize on all of it. I think I might put it top of C. I think I might. Because I think Martian Madness is a little more... I mean, the theme is cool. It's really cool. I think it is missing a little bit of punch, just like the rest of the boss themes, to be honest. Even Boss 3, even Boss 2, even... especially Plantera. Even Boss 4, like, all the other boss themes I've included here do it, but with Moonlord, it's like there's a bunch of sections in the song, and they're all split up by these random for lack of a better word, dubstep-ish parts that just kind of kill the pacing, in my opinion. But the parts that are there are really good, to the point where I'm somewhat considering moving it up to B. And I think I will, actually, because C is the stuff I'm more met on. Moonlord, I think it's good. It's probably going to be bottom of B, though, because I do like stuff like the part in the middle where it goes, and then the part at the end with that really loud 8-bit theme that plays a high-pitched note, which sounds similar to Space Knight, funnily enough. Yeah, like it's got some good stuff, but I think it could have used a little more punch. I think the in-game version could have been much louder than it was. It was so quiet for some reason. There's no real audio cues to the fight. I mean, there is the laser, I guess, but the fight is so spammy and so random with its attacks anyway. Do audio cues even matter? So, yeah. I think for the in-game version will not affect this ranking, but the in-game version being quiet, if I were using the in-game version, I would definitely put it C, because it is so quiet when it really shouldn't be. For the final boss theme of this game, for the theme for the final boss, it could have had a lot more punch to it. It could have just, like, had a continuously expanding or evolving melody instead of split up into a bunch of sections with some quiet breaks in between. Yeah. I had a lot more to say about that than Martian Madness and other stuff that I put in bottom of B, or even some stuff I put in C, but yeah, like, this theme has so much going for it, but it's not 100% there, in my opinion. That is the end of Volume 3, which... Oh yeah, I did announce the end of Volume 2. Volume 3 just basically had all the stuff added in 1.3, plus a couple others that they didn't add. And Volume 4 has everything they added in 1.4, plus a couple others that they didn't have until then. First is Journey's Beginning, the new menu theme. And this one I like a lot. Again, my opinion has basically flipped around, where, like, I kind of consider the old title screen theme. These would probably be swapped if I had the same opinions I did at the start of my Terraria playthrough. But since then, I really like this theme, actually, and I first thought the last part to be a little lackluster, but now I don't think so. I think it's actually a pretty good bridge between the loops, so... Yeah, and especially the very beginning part, which sounds like a computer powering up, is the best sound for starting up Terraria. And I'm so glad that in 1.4.1 they changed around how the theme played. It used to only play when the title screen was on screen past the Relogic logo, but now it plays during the Relogic logo, which is very nice. I really like that. And then the rest of the theme is quite nice. It's pleasant, it feels adventurous, it's a great title theme for Terraria, and most importantly, it is not repetitive unlike this one. I mean, it could get a little repetitive, I guess, but by the time it does get repetitive, you've created a character in a world, so you're in the game. You're not hearing it anymore. I do wish that the version without the startup that you get in-game was present in the soundtrack, but it is not. Whatever. Next. Underground ice, or underground snow, or as I prefer to call them, the ice caves. Interesting that we are getting this very far away from snow. This is not B, in fact... I think this is A. I think this is A, to be honest. I really like the ice cave theme. It had to kind of grow on me over time. At first, I wasn't too impressed with it, but now I think it's really cool. We got the part at the beginning with the... That's really good. We got the part in the middle with the... I was going to sing it, but then I realized how stupid I would make it sound. And even the last part isn't that bad, despite it kind of abandoning the melody a little bit. It's not bad. And at least it has a really cool ending part to circle it back around to the loop. Get it? Cool ending part? Overused pun. So yeah, thumbs up. Next is Space Day. I don't think I like it as much as Space Night, to be honest. Even though this is kind of more consistently good to me, I might put it down, like, here. I like Space Day a lot. But Space Night's opening melody really is, like, that much freaking better. So, it's still pretty close. I mean, just gets one more slot here and then one more slot there, and then it's underneath Space Knight, so it's like 3 slots down. But yeah, I think it's B tier. It's good. It's good. You'll notice a lot of tracks are probably going to end up in A and B, because I do like the majority of this soundtrack once again. But yeah, Space Day, both space themes are just pleasant. And they're not repetitive because you don't hear them that often, and they're fairly lengthy tracks. Plus, there's a day and night version, so it couldn't be that repetitive anyway. Like, anything that has a day and a night version can't be that repetitive since, I mean, that would make Hallow better, but still, I think that track is way too short and has so much untapped potential. You know, that's the thing with these lower tiers. They're not bad, it's that they have a... It's by no means bad music. Terraria's music is all really good. I would call none of this bad music. It's just that the ones down here have a ton of untapped potential, and the majority of the song is just not as good as the parts that are good. So, yeah, that's what I'm getting at with the lower tiers. Alright, moving on. Next is Empress of Light. My favorite boss in the game, and it's got a pretty okay theme. It's not C. I wouldn't say C. I think I'd put it there. I think it fits the fight quite well. It's also one of the longest tracks in the game. It is almost 3 minutes long. That might actually be the longest track in the game. I don't know. Maybe the credits theme is longer. I don't know. I do think that, just like with Boss 2, the first part being fast-paced should have probably been kept going throughout all of the rest of the song, but there are plenty of points throughout the rest of the song where it goes back to the fast pace. There's even a point in the middle where it restarts, and you'd think that it looped, but it actually starts like a second verse. Is that what you call that? I don't know. Music terms. Or, I used to know them. I've forgotten them since. But yes. Really good theme overall. I will say, the one part towards the, just before the halfway point, where it's a little quieter and you have this sound going, is kind of weird. That's probably my least favorite part of it. Least favorite, in case the mic didn't exactly pick that up, but the rest of it fits the vibe very well, and it's pretty good. I do think it could have used more punch. It would have been, up here if it had a little bit more punch to it, but it's okay. It's fine where it is. And plus, Empress of Light is my favorite boss, so it gets bonus points for that. Bonus points that don't make it down here. No, I'm kidding. It would have been there regardless, but yeah. Next is Queen Slime. I think I might have to go an F, because it is by no means bad music. Disclaimer yet again, by no means is it bad music, but number one, it's like this happy-go-lucky theme that somehow manages to sound boring and, have no clear melody whatsoever. Is there, even a single melody of any kind throughout this track? Because I can't hear one. It's just it's a bunch of random bouncy slime noises. Fun, I guess. But it's just... Number two, it plays for a boss. A hard mode boss, that is. It does not at all sound like a boss theme to me whatsoever. There's one part, past the halfway point that sounds kind of intense, I guess. It's the part right before it goes... That's it, though. And it's not... None of the rest of it is that good. There's nothing that memorable about it. And I even remember, every time I fight Queen Slime, I always have the thought of, this song is way too freaking calm for this fight. Because Queen Slime's kinda hard. It's a hard mode boss, and for, the first one you're meant to fight, it's pretty freaking hard. It also... I just heard the loop of it, and it goes straight from a bunch of, percussion-y sounds, and then they immediately all cut out in the song as the song restarts. That is just such an unclean loop. It is so weird. It doesn't work for a boss fight, especially one that's this difficult. It's not the most difficult boss in the world. If you get good hard mode equipment, you can stomp it, whereas you can't stomp Empress of Light or Duke Fishron that easily, but everything else about it is just plain mediocre. And nothing else in Terraria has any kind of no other track in this game has 100% mediocrity. There's always a good part in at least one of these. Even Pirate Invasion, even Plantera, even everything at sea. Queen Slime just doesn't have that. So, yeah. Sorry, Queen Slime fans, but I think Queen Slime is the worst track in the game. Next up, funnily enough, is a similar one, Slime Rain. Similarly, this one is also going to be rated low. I will put it in D. I think I'll put it above Pirate Invasion because I think it does keep to its theme very well. The theme of being like, it's a slime rain, it's a weird freaking thing, what is happening? Not only does it sound like bouncy, fun slimes, but it sounds like, this is a weird freaking thing, what's going on? With that being said, compared to the rest of the soundtrack, it's just not that interesting. To be honest, I have had it in my head, so it's not the most forgettable thing in the world, but it's just still not as interesting as the rest of the soundtrack. I don't think it was meant to be, but that doesn't mean I have to like it. So for my personal rating, I put it in D. It is better than Queen Slime, though, because I think it accomplishes its main theme of, this is a weird thing, what's going on? Better than Queen Slime. Queen Slime was supposed to be a bus theme. It did not sound like a bus theme. This is supposed to be a, this is fucking weird theme, and it sounds like a this is freaking weird theme. Now, moving on. Next is Desert. This late in the soundtrack, we are just now hearing Desert. And, Desert is pretty good. I think I'm going to put it there. It's... Actually, I'll even put it up next to Overworld Day, because I kind of consider it synonymous with Overworld Day. Or, synonymous. Is synonymous even the right word for that? I don't know, but I consider it along with Overworld Day, where it's one of the melodies you hear towards the start of the game. Desert is almost always the first biome I encounter when I leave the spawn point. And so, like, yeah, this theme just goes really well with starting in the game, and it's a good one. I don't think there's really any part of it that I don't like, or that I think is just okay. With that said, I do think all the stuff in A and above it in B is better, so I do wish that Overworld Night played when it was nighttime, since the spawns in the desert at night, in pre-hard mode at least, are exactly the same as every other freaking biome, as the forest biome, so I kind of wish Overworld Night would have played in any biome that didn't have its own predetermined night theme, but that's just me. Next is Underground Desert. This is an interesting one, because I don't know. I like it. I think I'm gonna put it in B somewhere. Towards the bottom, though. Like, there. Maybe there, yeah. Because I like it. I like it for its, I guess, heavy metal theme, reminiscent of Doom, because that aspect of it is cool, and it really does fit the biome with how many freaking mobs spawn down there, especially in hard mode. I've been to the hard mode Underground Desert, like, or the Desert Caves, as I prefer to call them, like, twice ever, and both times, the sheer number of tomb crawlers, it is insane. So, holy freaking crap, they go crazy with that, is quite intense, but yeah. Overall, it's... yeah. I think that's... I don't have much else to say. I do like the part that goes... which you may be hearing right now since I'm listening to each one of the tracks as I rank them to, like, remind myself how they sound fully so I can rank them properly. But yeah, that's basically all I have to say with Underground Desert. Next is Sandstorm. Any of you remember Sandstorms are in Terraria? Yeah, me neither. But they do exist and they have a theme, so let's rank it. Yeah, there. It's okay. It's mostly forgettable most of the time because I don't encounter sandstorms that often. So, however, that being said, it's a nice spin on that kind of theme. Yeah, like, the start of it, again, the start of it is really good. Like with most of the tracks in the game, the start of it is good, but not the rest of it. It's surprisingly long, though. 1 minute 38. I don't have much to say about it, because I guess, like, my favorite part is toward the beginning where it goes... and then the rest of it, I couldn't tell you my opinion because I just don't really care about it that much. I guess if I ever encountered sandstorms, I mean, I have encountered sandstorms. Every time I've encountered a sandstorm, it took place when I didn't want it to. So that might be bleeding into my thing a little bit. Maybe if I actually played a sandstorm out fully, though, I would think this theme is pretty good. Especially now that I'm hearing the latter half of it. This latter half isn't bad. With that being said, though, and it's also not that great. So, Sandstorm is middle of C. Next is Old One's Army. Alright, Old One's Army is my favorite event in the game, and one of the reasons is its music. I think I might... Yeah, I'm gonna put it there. Maybe even there. I really like Old One's Army's theme. It is like... This is the example that I point towards when I say that I want the boss themes to have more punch. Boss 1, Boss 3, all the boss themes to have more punch. This theme has that punch that the boss themes and some of the event themes, like this especially, are missing. Because, like, it sounds so unlike Terraria, and that's because it is unlike Terraria. It's the Old One's Army. The Old One's Army is the crossover from a different game, so... Yeah, it just sounds so, like... for lack of a better word, epic. There's that part towards the end of the first half that goes like very orchestral, has the that part is so cool. And then there's like at the halfway point, there's that little part that transitions into the second half, and that is also really good. This theme is so good. In fact, I think I might. I think I might. S tier. It's our first S tier. I like it that friggin' much. Old One's Army is so good. And then the last part may not, I don't really like as much as the rest, but it's still a really good way to bridge the gap from some point, the third quarter to the loop. And yeah, this theme, combined with the absolute chaos and intensity of Old One's Army, is what really makes Old One's Army special. Feel special. And feel so fun. I think I meant fun more than special. I don't know about special, but fun. So much fun. Old One's Army is fantastic, and this theme is one of the many reasons why. Absolutely awesome. I just closed... Well, actually, I think I kind of meant to close out because... for lack of a better position, this next theme, Deerclops, is not actually a part of the soundtrack because it was added in after the full soundtrack got released, because Relogic are a bunch of nice people. Alright. Anyway, Deerclops is another one of those boss themes that I think could use a little more punch. I think that the first part is really good, and definitely sounds like it comes from a different game, which is because it does. It's from Don't Starve. But to be honest, not D. I'm gonna put it, like, there. Maybe over Underworld? No. Yeah. I'm sorry, but it's just okay. I don't think it's that amazing. Yeah, there. I think I might put Glowing Mushrooms up a little bit more. Not over Boss 2, but a little bit more. There is a pretty cool part towards the end that I'm listening to now, where it goes or something. And I think my takeaway from Deerclops is that Don't Starve soundtrack is kind of the same as Terraria's soundtrack to me, where it's okay. It's alright. It might even be more okay overall. Alright, real quick, I gotta get back to where we were in the playlist. So, yeah. Deerclops, middle of C, it's fine. Again, it could use more punch. I think that the first part is really good, and they should have... this is actually, this is the only theme not to be composed by Scott Lloyd Shelley, so it was composed by... Is it Scott? Yeah, it's Shelley. It was composed by Clay Entertainment, the people behind Don't Starve, so, and, like, they made a rendition of it with Terraria's little 16-bit-ish sound, so... I think it came out mostly good as an adaptation from what little I've heard of Deerclops' theme in Don't Starve. I think it came out pretty good for the transition to Terraria, but still, it could have been so much better. And so, in the way it is now, see it goes. Next is Underground Jungle, or as I prefer to call them, the Jungle Caves. This one's good. I think I might put it top of, yeah, there. Towards the top of B. I think I prefer, yeah, that's a good spot. I prefer Dungeon, Space Day, and Frostboom, but Alternate Day a little less, but yeah. The Jungle Caves are one of my favorite biomes in the game, despite the only bad thing is building a Plantera arena. That's basically it. But the Jungle Caves are otherwise really cool, and this theme goes well with them. It's not repetitive because it is almost 2 minutes long, and that's key to not having your song be repetitive, assuming you're listening to it in loop, of course, which in Terraria, you are listening to these in loops since they play indefinitely until you leave the area or whatever. But yeah. I mean, like, I also really like the Jungle Caves' visuals and all that, and its challenge is pretty cool. I like trying to avoid all the bees and turtles and stuff. It's fun, and this theme goes well with it. I don't know if I would have preferred hearing Jungle Day throughout. I kind of missed playing the game during those days where Jungle Day was the only jungle theme. There was no Underground Jungle or Jungle Night, which explains why we waited this long to get to them. Yeah. I think top of B is where it goes, because it's a good theme, it's got a good atmosphere, makes a good atmosphere, I mean, and it's pretty good overall, but not my favorite. I do like the part at the beginning where it goes, that's nice. Next is Jungle Night. I think there's a good spot for it. It's not bad, it's not C, it's not D, it's not F, there are some pretty good parts of it. I don't think any of it is that bad. I don't think it's that repetitive either. It's just like Jungle Day, but Jungle Day is like so catchy and standout compared to the rest of them, including these two, that I think it deserves its spot up there, and these two get their spot down here. But these are still good spots. These are still good themes, everything down here, including Moonlord. Moonlord's a good theme. I think it fits. I think it fits Jungle Night, the nighttime jungle setting, very well. I must say, it's weird that Underground Jungle doesn't play until you enter the cavern layer. Why doesn't it play if when you enter the underground layer? I don't really understand that. Maybe they wanted it to be a little like the old versions where Jungle Day played throughout, but I think it should have just started the underground layer, but yeah. Yeah, you get the point. Jungle Night's fine. Moving on to Queen Bee. We still got some boss themes left over. Queen Bee. Gonna be another B tier theme, I think. This would have been a C tier theme in my old opinions of the soundtrack, but I think it's another B tier since it's pretty good. Where to put it though? Or even above Empress of Light. I think there's a good spot. I don't know. I kind of like the part after the so much that I might prefer the theme overall to Empress of Light, despite the latter half of the theme not being that good. There's also that part that goes that I like, and this just really fits Queen Bee's character and her design and everything. So yeah, it's good. B tier's getting cramped. Goodness. Moving on from that, we have Graveyard. I rarely ever hear this because I don't use graveyards that often, and I think it's okay. The first little melody where it goes doom 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 is the best part of it. I think I'll put it there. I think I like Deerclops more than it. I feel like more than Hallow or Corruption though. Actually, I'll put it a little lower end on C. It's fine. It's okay. It's like, it's nothing crazy. It's quite long as well, but like that, the repetitiveness wouldn't have mattered because I rarely ever use graveyards, so to be honest, I often forget this one exists. But yeah, I think this is a good spot. Goblin Invasion I might want to move up a little bit. Like there. Yeah. I think that's good. Maybe even move Sandstorm. Maybe even move Tidal Sky. I'm just moving this thing lower and lower, but I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. It's not that memorable. It just isn't. It's okay. So it gets C tier. I closed the freaking playlist again because I'm an idiot. Up next is Town Day. I've been waiting to get to these. These were added in 1.4, where wherever you have 3 NPCs near each other, including, like, even if they don't have a house, you can hear that if you play Celebration Mark 10, where you start with 4 NPCs around you. That place now counts as a town, and you get the town theme playing. And it is so good. S tier. It is. Town Day and Town Night are 2 of the best tracks ever in the game, and I'm so glad that they were added. Because, geez, if I had to listen to Overworld Day and Alternate Day all the freaking time in the town, that would have been so annoying. Like, the town is a place where you are going to spend a lot of time. You're going to spend a lot of time either organizing chests, preparing items, crafting potions, or even just talking to NPCs, or buying stuff, or building more stuff. You're gonna spend a lot of time in a town, and I think the composer knew that. Scott Lloyd Shelley must have known that, and composed this theme with that in mind, because not only is it 2 minutes, over 2 minutes, 2 minutes 6 seconds, which makes it one of the longer tracks in the game, it's not repetitive at all, and there isn't like a single part of it that I can say is that bad. It's all really good. It's not repetitive. Maybe it can get repetitive if you hear like 15 times in a row, but by then the game has switched to nighttime, and then you don't hear it anymore. Yeah, it's such a nice theme. It works so well with Terraria's atmosphere, and I'm surprised at how well it fits in with the rest of the themes, since this was a late addition to the game. Overworld Day was there since 1.0. This was added in 1.4, so that's like a freaking almost a 10-year gap between these two's release. But this one fits in really well, and is so nice. It's one of the absolute least repetitive tracks in the game, and it's fantastic. And I do personally like it more than Old One's Army. I love Old One's Army, but this theme is just pleasant. I like pleasant themes a lot. That's all I have to say about Town Day. I could continue gushing about it, but if I continue gushing about it, I would be saying the exact same thing over and over again, so moving on. Windy Day, or High Wind, as the soundtrack calls it. It's good. I think I'm gonna put it in A, to be honest. Below or above Rain? I think below Rain, but above Ice Caves? Yeah, I think that's a good spot for it. Windy Day is pretty nice. It's quite standout. It's quite a standout track because it's much louder than the rest of the soundtrack. You're probably hearing it now. And it also is probably one of the latest additions that fits in the least with the rest of Terraria Soundtrack, but that's not bad. And then, like, you still got stuff like Old One's Army, and actually, listening to it now, I think it fits in just fine. What am I talking about? Yeah, Windy Day's pretty good. It's also the only defining factor that a windy day is even happening at all in-game, because you can barely tell otherwise. There's some wind sound effects, I guess, but this theme is really the only thing. I also like how there's wind sound effects sprinkled throughout the theme, speaking of which. That's pretty cool. And, like, the part right towards the end from the transition that goes is one, like, really nice sounding part. That's the best I have to say about it, so... yeah, you understand. Theme's good. It's not great or excellent, it's not mind-blowing, it's not freaking the best music ever, but it's good. Although I will say, the in-game implementation is so annoying when the game cannot decide what the wind speed should be, and it keeps switching between, like, above the threshold and below the threshold, and just keeps switching back and forth and back and forth. That is so annoying, and I hate it. Next is Storm. This is another one that is plagued by that exact same issue, in fact, I was just talking about. I think Storm is B tier, and to be honest, I might move some of these tracks up because I'm filling up B tier with so many things. Here, let's put Frost Moon. Honestly, Dungeon. I do like Dungeon a lot. Storm can go somewhere like here. Yeah, sure. It's pretty cool. Part of me kind of thinks it's a little over the top for a thunderstorm. Thunderstorms are, like, big and loud, sure, but they're not that dangerous. This theme makes it sound like something dangerous is happening. In reality, thunderstorms do nothing in the game. So, I have to wonder why this theme is so, like, big and loud. It's also a little disjointed. and it can't really decide on a particular melody, even like Town Day could, so... And Town Day isn't the most jointed song, but it still managed to keep like a nice flow, and this doesn't really do that much, but it's not bad. I'd say it's even pretty good, and although it does fall victim to the same thing Windy Day does, when the game can't decide how fast the wind should be, and so keeps switching back and forth between the storm and the regular rain theme. That is so annoying, and that it's so freaking annoying, but it's not that bad. Also, strangely enough, the rain theme has a much lower priority to play than the storm theme, and I don't know why. Okay, there we go. So yeah, storm, it's fine. I don't have that much to say. Next is Duke Fishron. This is our last boss theme, and it's quite a way to go. This guy's really good. This guy's boss theme is very, very good. Do I abandon Empress of Light and B? Yeah, I really do think his theme is that much better. I'm gonna put him bottom of A. I think his theme is really good, actually. And it took me... Again, this theme had to grow on me like a lot of others did. There's a part in the middle, like a transitional part in the middle that isn't as good, but the first part is good, and then the last part where it goes... But in a much better way than what I did. That was a horrible imitation of it. Holy crap. But yeah. It fits the fight pretty well. And I never fought him when he had just used Boss 1 in all versions before 1.4. But man, this guy is one of the best bosses in the game. One of the most fun and intense ones. And he has a really fun and intense theme to go with it. And it really suits him. It suits him a lot, so I'm glad he got his own theme and didn't just use Eye of Cthulhu's theme. That's Eye of Cthulhu's theme, stay away. It's also Skeletron and the rest, but shh. Alright, I'm simply stalling so that you can actually hear the last part as it's supposed to sound, and not my awful recreation of it. So, there you go. Hope you're enjoying it. Yeah, it's freaking good. And the expert mode version of him makes this theme even better. So, yeah. Pretty strong boss theme to end it out. I think only 2 boss themes at all made it to A tier. The rest just sulked in B and C and D and F. Next is Morning Rain. And this is why I think that the rain theme should only play during day, because there's a morning rain theme. It makes no sense that it plays all night, and then you get to morning, switches to morning rain, and then when the morning is done, it switches back. It makes no sense. But yes, this plays whenever it's raining between the hours of 4:30 to 7, I want to say. I think this theme is awesome, except a little too short. I think it could have been much longer. But it is a really cool, like, get hyped theme, and I think it does suit a rainy morning. Because it's so short, it gets a little repetitive. It's good that it doesn't play for as long as the regular rain theme does, I guess, so... It's good that it only plays for the morning bit because of that. So I think I'm going to put it in at the top of B. I do like it quite a bit, but it's a little too short for me, personally. Next... Ocean Knight. This one is really good. I like this one. We're gonna put it in A somewhere. I don't know. It's not quite S, but I think I'll put it above Jungle. This one, the Ocean Knight and Space Day, by the way, are originally from the console versions of Terraria, where they played instead of the Space Knight or Ocean Day, which the PC version had. These two were the PC versions, these two were the console versions of the same theme. I don't know why console and mobile versions of the same theme. I don't know why they composed a separate theme for the other versions, but they did. And here we are now. So they got reused in 1.4 as a day and night variant, which is pretty clever reuse. And yeah, this one, I like it a lot more than the day theme, personally. It's just really nice, it's catchy in a couple spots, and it really does feel like a beach at night. I mean, I haven't really been to a beach at night before, but I could imagine that if I did, this is what would play in my head. This is what it would feel like. And yeah, it's like kind of stands out from the day version as being a little more like catchy and less peaceful, I guess, but it's not like less pleasant. It's freaking pleasant as hell, and I like it. I don't know. I'm running out of ways to describe these songs. Especially because I don't know much about, like, musical terms, but point is, you get the point, and point is, Ocean Knight is good. And the next Next theme is actually our very final in-game theme. The theme that a theme that plays while you're actually playing. You're not like on a menu. It's Town Night, and they really saved the best for last on this one. Town Night is my absolute favorite track in all of Terraria. And, like, just when I thought Town Day couldn't get any better, Town Night is basically Town Day, but it's at nighttime, which means it's like 100 times more peaceful and pleasant, and it sounds so cool. Like, this is easily, like, the quietest and most calming theme in the game, and because of that, it gets top spot. I love that. This music fits so well for stuff like a small village at nighttime, a campground at nighttime. If I was ever, like, outside at nighttime, this is probably what would play in my head. And specifically, outside at nighttime, chilling in a peaceful area. Not, like, in the middle of a bustling crowd at night. That would not fit, I don't think. But, like, it fits night perfectly, and it is so good. I do think that the in-game version is a little too quiet, but that makes sense. It makes sense why it's so quiet, because, you know, it's a nighttime theme. In fact, Overworld Night is pretty loud, but then again, it plays whenever there are threats around. And that's another thing about Town Night. Town Night always plays when there aren't any threats, because when there are 3 NPCs nearby, mobs can't spawn. At least, they can't spawn very often if you're playing Expert or Master. But, like, if you have a summon, your summon will take care of the one mob that spawns, so you don't have to worry. Yeah, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I'm right now, even now, I'm imagining, like, all the moving parts of Terraria, the pulsating hearts, the pulsating cursor, and all the moving crafting stations with animations. All of that stuff, all that moving visuals stuff is so peaceful. All combined together with this theme. It is fantastic, and I am very glad that it was added. This is excellent. Like, we are really ending the in-game themes on a good note here. Ha! Get it? Good note! With that said, though, we still have 2 more tracks, and one of them technically is an in-game theme, because it's the credits. Actually, we're starting with alt title. Okay. So the first one is called alt title. Alt title is the theme that plays when you are creating a drunk world. It is also the title theme for the console versions, I believe. The old console version, I think. It's basically this title screen theme, but with a ton more, like, development and stuff on top of that. And, you know, I'm rethinking my Duke Fishron placement. I'm gonna move him up. Like, there, that's good. Overall, I may not like it as much as Journey's Beginning. I'll put it bottom of A. Yeah, I think that's a good spot, bottom of A. But I really like this. Like, not only does it just sound more grandiose and like you're going on this huge adventure, whereas this one's kind of like, you can go adventure, I guess, and then it looped, and then it's like, you could go adventure, I guess, again. Yeah. But, speaking of loops, it's significantly longer. It's 1:30, whereas this was 45 seconds. And it has, like, a ton more stuff in between. It has a lot more content in between. That sounds really good. And it sounds like a mashup of every single one of Terraria's themes. It's actually, like, freaking awesome and very symbolic of this game. And in a move that I really like, the ending of the theme reuses the start of the theme, which is something that is very rare throughout this soundtrack. Only, like, Town Day has it from my memory. That is awesome, and not many Terraria themes do that. I think I still prefer the default menu theme, Journey's Beginning, that we have now, to every other one. And I think I also prefer all these themes, but this is really good. I'm gonna put it in an A, because it is that good. Finally! This one's technically an in-game theme, because it's the credits. It's Journey's End. And it's not a bad ending track. Do I? I don't think so, actually. I'm gonna put it top of B, because as this song is good. Like, the first part especially, this carries the theme of the rest of the soundtrack. First part is really cool. Like, hearing this after defeating the Moonlord for the first time felt really nice to have this, like, celebratory music over it. And as the credits scroll by in the backdrop, was awesome. But then the second half is a little less good. It's It has this weird part that goes boom, 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 with like nothing else to it, and that is like, that feels just so random to me, and I don't think I really like it that much. But it does at least close out very nicely. It comes back up to the celebratory version and then closes out very nicely. I do have a problem that is beyond like the track itself and the mediocre parts. It's far too short for the in-game credits. The in-game credits are about like 6, 7, 8 minutes long. This song is 2 minutes, 12 seconds per loop, and there is no other song that plays during the credits. This is the only one. And so when you hear this in-game, the game just keeps looping it over and over again, and then when you get to the end of the credits, like, you know what will be perfect? You get to the end of the credits, and then the final part of this theme plays as the thank you for playing goes by. Or as the final cutscene with the princess and all the other NPCs jumping around you go by. That would be awesome, but that's not what happens because of the fact that this song just isn't that long enough. I think, like, I know that the songs in this game are never longer than, like, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, and now that I think about it, I think freaking Empress of Light really is the longest track in the game, now that I've seen all the lengths going by. But I think this is the one time where Scott Lloyd Shelley really should have made, like, an 8-minute piece here. Or, at the very least, you could have done what the old Sonic games did, where they have that opening theme, and then they cut to a medley of all the other common themes in the game, and then they wrap it up with the ending part. I would have taken that. Especially since, unlike with Minecraft, whose credits sequence just keeps growing longer and longer every single update, Terraria's credits isn't going to change that much. The Terraria's credits length isn't going to change that much, so you have room to do that. It just bothers me so much when composers make songs that are shorter than the actual credits, and so either the last part of the credits is left in silence, or it loops again, and then the credits don't end. The credits end when the song is in the middle part. That kind of stuff bothers me a lot. So I think it gets its spot in B because of that. The actual song itself is probably in B. If I were considering the credits itself, probably put it a little lower, but I think I'll put it top of B. It's good. And with that is every single track in Terraria, and I've given my opinion on some more detailed than others, and I've given a ranking. And overall, let me review this real quick. This is what I think. I love these three so much. They stand out as some of the best. Lost One, Crimson, Hallow, all the underground themes, like all the underground themes plus the biomes are really good. Part of me is reconsidering putting Empress of Light, especially low underground. No, I'm gonna put it above Underground Desert, but I think Martian Madness and Moonlord can stay at the bottom. Do I like Eerie less than Storm? Probably not. To be honest, I'm gonna put Graveyard bottom of C, because even Solar Eclipse has a like standout good part. Graveyard actually doesn't even have that much to it. I put Graveyard like here and then moved it all the way down as time went on. And I'm sticking with Plantera in D tier. There's so much good potential here that it's squandered, and that's the main reason. And the rest of unlike with Moonlord, whose remaining song left over is still pretty good, Plantera's only the first part is that good, and then the rest is just not good. Queen's Lime stays in F because, I mean, something has to be an F for a tier list to be complete. So Queen's Lime stays in F. There's just like little to no redeeming factors about it. Pirate Invasion is so boring. Slime Rain is also pretty boring. I think it's meant to be, but it's just, I still don't have to like it. The rest of this, maybe Space Day is above, but the rest of this is pretty good. Overworld Day gets like kind of the middle spot. I mean, the middle spot is more like here, or the middle spot is actually like right here. But yeah, it gets a nice spot in the center. So, that is my tier list of the soundtrack. Please let me know what you thought of my tier list if you watched this video. I will link this, I actually made this tier maker template. I will leave a link to it in the description so that you can go and make your own rankings. Just to be aware, I did not actually add in the F tier as a default, so you might have to add that in yourself or not even include it at all if you're not going to put anything there. Yeah, I'd be interested to know what you guys think of my rankings, what you think of my opinions of the songs, and yeah. I mean, I'm also kind of scared to hear them, but hey, nothing wrong with a little discussion, right? Right. Let's make it a friendly discussion, please. Because it might be a little unfriendly because I put Plantera in D, but that's honestly what I think. So, sorry, but that's the truth. Anyway, if you watched this video anyway, I thank you all for watching very much. If you did watch, that is. As always, I will see you all in the future.